Just like when you're using the solvent-based stain, same thing applies to Bona Chroma. So if I finish the floor with a finer grit, 120 or 150, I'm going to get a little bit of a lighter color. If I finish a bit coarser, 80 or 100 grit, of course I'm going to get an overall darker color. Pre-water popping the floor is not necessary with Chroma because it is a water-based product and pre-pops the floor itself. On some species that are difficult to stain, like maple, American cherry, etc., you may want to pre-pop those. You may get a little bit of a different effect and or a little less blotchiness or help alleviate some sanding inconsistencies on those type of species that you're trying to color. But overall, no, you do not have to pre-water pop the floor before you apply Chroma because it pre-pops itself. Yes, it will, but only slightly. As you can see on the sample we did here in the studio. It's really hard to pick it up and tell, is it really darker than where we only applied it? And that's again because Chroma water pops itself. So it's going to be difficult to get it to be any darker than that. And it's definitely not as big as a color change that you may have experienced when water popping and then applying solvent-based stains because of that self-popping nature of Chroma. So yes, you could water pop to make it darker. It's only going to make it slightly darker, if at all. I would just let it work its own magic and go from there. Really not a good idea to dilute it with water, and it's because it's not just water that's used as a carrier. You've got some other components in there, and we don't want to dilute those along with the color. So the best thing to do is use the Bona Chroma Clear to reduce the depth of any color. So if I'm using Americano or Winter or whatever, and I want it half as white or half as dark brown, I'm gonna cut that 50-50 with my Bona Chroma Clear. Don't put any water in it. It will only cause you other application issues. To mix smaller amounts, you can simply use a 20-to-1 chroma coloration to additive mix ratio, so that's 5%. And to break it down into maybe a usable levels for you, 5% of 128 ounces is 6.4 ounces. So to mix smaller amounts, we're just simply going to use a 20-to-1 or a 5% chroma coloration to additive mix ratio. That's going to be 5% of 128 ounces equals 6.4 ounces or 3/4 cup. That's going to be our full additive ratio into a full gallon of chroma coloration. Anything less, you got to break it down into that 20-to-1 ratio.